All right, folks, we're gonna call this meeting the Little Calumet River Basin Development Commission for Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 to order. Please set your phones on.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Lambert, nice to see you. Will you call roll, please? Present. Here.
Anthony Rogers, absent. Sarah Minutes,
Here.
David Castellano,
Here.
Ron Ware,
Here.
Robert Boshi, absent. Lillian Whitaker,
Present.
William Baker.
Present. We have a quorum. Next up is the approval of minutes from March 20th, 2024. Changes, motions, what say you?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from March 20th of 2024.
There's a motion in there, second.
Second.
Any discussion? Either none. Mr. Wicklund, are we still doing roll call?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Mrs. Lambert? Affirmative.
Scott Benson,
Yes.
Sarah Minutes,
Yes.
David Castellano,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Lillian Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. Moving right along, next up is the chairman's report. Happy spring. We're here because of a federal flood control project to make sure something like what's on that green looking board of pictures doesn't happen in our area again. That's what happens when you don't have a unified effort to take care of a $275 million man-made flood control project. We're far better off now than we were prior to that event. We have a collaboration with all of the communities within the watershed to be able to put boots on the ground should we have Mother Nature send us more than our 5-gallon bucket of water to handle. That being said, moving right along. Finance report, we have a motion to approve the claims for April 2024, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. We approve the claims for April 2024 in the amount of $549,504.06.
There's a motion, is there a second?
You need to be on.
So is our this list right?
No, it's been revised.
I stand corrected. I apologize. I must have heard it the wrong claim. I would amend that motion for the amount to reflect $636,322.23. My apologies.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And Mr. Repay.
Yeah, I think it's more, my apologies, a couple of these claims that got added late were in my mailbox, and because of the fun rain we've had and inspections, I think I overlooked them, so we don't like to add them at the last minute or the last couple days, but we did, and I apologize, but they did the work, and so I'll try to explain them. VVP Enterprises, they are the one of two groups that are working to clean the Katy Marsh ditch. They started at Hart's ditch at the confluence and working their way east. We have another group that's starting at Klein Avenue and making their way west. The reason why we're doing it in such a case is it's easier to notify. We have to notify all the people that this affects, and we don't want to notify people that are, say, off Bird Street if we don't get to them this year or we don't get to them right away because they'll be old in their mailbox. So we're going to do this, and then the next segment will be from Klein Avenue to its termination, which I believe is near Grant Street. So those various claims are 17-9, 14-3, and 29. We have a claim for DuPeron Corporation for $62,600. That is the final installment for the screen breaker. That is for what is the deep tunnel project in Griffith. That was the rate project that we corrected of the cores. The cores breaker didn't work or hasn't worked since 2013. And we found the engineering and the group to do it, and we partnered with the town of Griffith. And so that project is fully operational now. That is the last payment of the machine. We probably have some payment for the construction and the observation, but that's the general gist of that. The town of Cherville for the watershed Sunset Boulevard project, as I indicated, this project started in 2017, located roughly in the southwest west corner of 30 and 41. It's a weir-built detention area. It has been designed, it is now complete. They have some small things to pick up, but that is 251,712. And we have Christopher Burke Engineering for the Deep River Watershed Modeling, which they hopefully will be wrapping up in May or June, hopefully May. And I know because someone's on the line while listening and probably laughing when I say that. Wessler Engineering for the engineering over Georgia Street, which is also known as, or now known as Malcolm X. That's the area by Carver Elementary that tends to flood during high rain events. It did have some water in the road during this first week of April. So that's what I've got right now.
Any questions for Mr. Repay on the bills? There's a motion and a second, Mrs. Lambert.
Tom Jodi,
Yes.
Tom Becky,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Dave Castellanos.
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes, paying the bills. Next up, Mr. Repay, what's going on in the field? It rained.
Well, we can start with rain or we can start with inspection. We'll start with inspections, then we'll talk about rain. Inspections went off on last week, which was supposed to start on Monday with INDOT. However, because the governor's state of emergency declaration, INDOT workers were told they could not go on the road. So we had to shift everything around. However, with all said and done, we finished inspections last week of every segment from basically the railroad tracks going to the east, including Marshalltown, Bird North, Gary North, Gary South Levy. And so everything was relatively good. We have the one pump that's out at Bird Street, but that's because we took it out for replacement and they were aware of that. The biggest issue that they found was the rutting that took place, and we're aware of the ATVs. And as a matter of fact, one of the ATVs almost had a collision course with the Corps as they were inspecting it. So they actually have a picture of the ATV. But overall, the inspections went well. The gates worked well, the pumps worked well. There probably is going to be some follow-up questions for me just about maintenance, but that's to be expected. The next set of inspections will take place on the 29th of this month, which we will do Hammond on Monday and Tuesday. So that's the 30th or the 20th and 30th. The first will be Munster. The second will be Highland, and then the third will be anything made up. So if anyone wants to attend those great experiences, you're more than welcome to. We're doing pump stations, gates, and levees. Did it rain? Yes, it did. We've had quite a bit of rain. Matter of fact, I think this is the highest it's been in the last 3 events that we've had. Along with that rain, we've had a lot of debris that has blocked up some of our culverts, so we're working on those. So we're fixing them, and we still have a couple more to go. Recently, or as of yesterday, we fixed the one off of Martin Luther King where the beaver had created a little dam about 38 feet inside the culvert underneath Martin Luther King. So we have that open now. So hopefully that will keep working. We cleared the 4 culverts underneath the expressway off of Georgia and Gary. We cleaned off the culvert leading into Georgia and Gary. We have some other small issues. We have a blockage on Calhoun. The problem is our equipment is rated at 24 tons. The bridge load limit is loaded at 22 tons. So we're working with Lake County Highway to make sure that we do not owe them a bridge after trying to clean this out. So it's not super blocked, but it's blocked enough where it's concerning. So we're getting answers through the county, and we've had communications with them, but otherwise things work as they should. They ended up opening the big, the rock quarry on that Wednesday. Usually when it gets to 9 feet on the Thornton Quarry gauge, which we have on our website, they start diverting water into the quarry. So overall, nothing needed to be closed, and it did what it was supposed to do. A little bit more damage along Hart Ditch that we heard from residents about things collapsing, but that's what happens when you've got the issues that occur out there at Hart Ditch, which is why we're working with the stabilization with the county, which they have started the next segment, which is from 45th to Franlin.
Is that their backhoe that's in Stewart Park?
That is correct. So we had to coordinate with Munster Parks to use that land because there's limited access, so the plan is if they are to damage anything, they are to put it back to where it's supposed to be. So they haven't been able to work too much because of the high flow, and that just doesn't work for them and their machines. As I mentioned, Katie Marsh cleaning, we're working on that. We hope to wrap that up by May 1st. We don't want to be getting into the middle of the summer and we're going to be getting into people's backyards with graduation parties. That's just not going to work out well. What we'll do is we'll likely finish up the Klein and then just go again in the springtime to clean out any of the dead, dying, or leaning trees that are in there. We're not going to deforest the place. We're just trying to clean up some of the areas. We got permission from the county because it's a regulated drain, and so they sent out the letters on our behalf to make sure that all the residents were notified. Pump stations, as I mentioned in our inspections, we just have First Street that myself and Commissioner Whitaker went out. We believe I think it's the flap gate on the outside that's making a little bit of noise, and we're gonna fix that once we reinstall pump 2. And I've already mentioned about, as far as some of the claims with Katie Marsh trash rack, the natural spring. I was initially given a date for electricity on April 8th because the railroad had a flagger available. So anyone that is looking for a job, you should go be a flagger because evidently they don't have enough of those. Yeah.
How much does it pay?
I don't, probably a lot just to sit there and watch for the flag to make sure the trains don't go through. So we're waiting on them. Unfortunately, in the meantime, someone stole the metal grate that was there, but we're gonna have to replace that with a plastic one. And so that's our update on that. Spring, we called NIPSCO again to see if they have a new date for us for the connection to our power pole. Kennedy Avenue Sandbar is now in the midst of the hydraulics department. They want to make sure that by us taking out the sediment does not create a negative hydraulic effect within the system. So we're waiting for their response.
Hydraulic department at the core?
It's H&H. Yes.
Yes.
That Army Corps. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. I don't know any other hydraulic department.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking the question.
Fair enough. Parking lot paving and seal coating, we're drawing up the specs right now. You should be opening them in June to see, so that will help the Holbert mitigation project, and then seal coating some of the trails on top. We'll have a couple options on those. We're just not sure what those prices are going to look like coming in. But some of the more higher traffic areas are the areas we're targeting. And then meeting with Lake Station about the continuation of the rock riffle and the park and the green space that is taking place out there. And they're supposed to come back with some more ideas. There was a little bit of a delay and personnel change over there. So we're working through that. And then, as I said, the modeling, hopefully May, maybe June, they'll be doing a presentation, at least the initial findings and the initial thoughts and some of the different areas that we asked them to look at. So, including scenarios if we did X or Y or Sneaky Creek or any of those, adding an extra pipe underneath I-65 that would impact it. So with that, I don't have anything further besides we have a presentation.
Any questions for Mr. Repay about what's going on in the field? Good. Right, well, we can always revise it.
I know you can. I'm not trying to challenge you.
You're up, kid. What do you think? What's next?
I have nothing further on my report.
Right? It's
Oh, you want your presentation? Sorry.
which is tech and
Oh, that's really.
exactly.
Well, Dan and Henry will come here and save me from the Lake County Collaborative, which is our partnership dealing with the wetlands and the areas that they are looking to improve. They've improved them off of George, off of Martin Luther King, off of the Rookery. I don't know, I know it's here somewhere, and I'm not gonna find it. Hold it over, 2 times over. See, need help all the time. So they're here, I think, and they've logged in, which is good because we'll be able to separate this presentation for the future. So if anyone wants to look at it, review it, their overall presentation, I think, if we have communicated properly, is going to be an overview of what they've accomplished and then a forward-looking project tasks. And you guys all have their ask in front of you. I don't think it won't be acted on today, but this is sort of going to that notion, right?
Yes,
I'm done talking for a while.
thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation to speak in front of you. We have a slight revision from the agenda.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Oh, sorry.
Where you're from?
Yes,
This
yes.
is government.
Yeah, it is, yes. My name is Daniel Suarez. I'm the Senior Conservation Manager at Audubon Great Lakes and one of the partners on the Little Calumet River Conservation
Thank you, sir.
Collaborative. Today, Mr. Craig Zanstra from Lake County Parks and Mr. Paul Botts from the Wetlands Initiative will also be giving some remarks. And like Dan said, I'll be going over some of the stuff that we've been doing since the last time we spoke, but I want to leave time to talk about forward-looking, big picture things. So I will go through these my slides a little bit quickly, but of course, if you have any questions, please stop me and I'm happy to expand on anything. So I usually start with this map just to emphasize that the reason we are working where we are working has been led by a rigorous scientific process from scientists from the National Audubon Society that have helped us identify wetlands, not just in the Calumet region, but across the Great Lakes that can help us restore wetlands for the benefit not only of birds, but of the human communities near them. We've been monitoring birds now along the Little Calumet River for 7 years. And in that time, when we started, of the 11 focal species that we've been monitoring, all 11 species were in a significant decline. This is a trend that we've seen not only in the Calumet region, but across the United States. But the downward trend in the Calumet region has been steeper than it has in other places. And so the graph that you're seeing now might not be quite the exponential kind of upward curve that you might think, but this is a good sign. All 11 species that we've been monitoring, their populations have stabilized over the last 7 years. And this is in the face of everywhere else outside of the region, those numbers are continuing to come down, which shows that the work that we're doing on the ground, the management is working. You'll see these little blue dots represent the counts for the year. And some years those numbers are higher, some years those numbers are lower. And it's important to remember that over the last 4 years, we've started a new cycle where we're still kind of trying to wrap our heads around what this really means. And we go from flash floods, which is something that we've been very familiar with, that we've weathered over time. Now we're dealing with flash droughts. And so this period of extremely high water levels and extremely low water levels can make things really difficult for the birds. Most of these species have very specific requirements. They have like a Goldilocks zone where they like it just right. Some like deeper water, some like shallower water. So in these years of extremes, that nuance gets lost a little bit. But overall, the trend is going in a positive direction. And I know this is a little bit hard to read, but the basic gist of it is these are all of the sites that we're monitoring in Indiana. And the two highest performing sites that we have are the Grand Street Marsh and the Highland Heron Rookery, with 8 of our 11 focal species found within them. MLK South Wetlands has 4 of those species, but overall, we're really pleased with what we're seeing on the Little Cal, and these numbers have improved since we started in 2017. Again, just to give you a geographic sense for the sites that we've been working on, and thanks to the Wetlands Initiative for pulling together this really nice map. This is showing in kind of like that purplish pink. Those are the sites that we've already been doing on the ground work for a few years now, the Highland Heron Rookery, Grand Street Wetlands, and MLK South. At the same time, we've now gotten funding to do some engineering and design work at the Marshalltown Marsh Complex and the Chase Street Complex. And so all of those other sites in yellow are sites that we've got on our radar that we haven't started work on for various reasons. But across the 10-mile stretch of the Little Cal, there's a lot of action and activity happening right now. So just a really quick snapshot of what we've been doing out in the field since the last time we spoke to you. In 2023, we had the Lake County Parks crew and contractors doing a lot of work in the field for us. So Lake County Parks crew focused in on about 50 acres of intensive management. Contractors about 163 acres. They did a variety of things for us last year. So in the left, you can see which is becoming an activity that we're having to do more and more with the Lake County Parks crew breaking up Beaver Dam at the Highland Heron Rookery. That is something that we're constantly keeping tabs on, making sure that water is able to enter and exit the site, which has been boosted by the installation of our water control structures, which I'll touch on shortly. Interestingly, last year we did a pilot with an herbicide spraying with a drone. A lot of the contractors are starting to gain capacity in managing drones, which help us have less overspray and less herbicide drift. And those drones could actually get much closer to trees, can get closer to hard to access areas. And the price is coming down, so we're really excited about that and hope to be able to use more drones in the future, because as you can imagine, the alternative being helicopters in residential urban areas usually causes some concern. And also wanted to emphasize that we have our monthly site tours with the Lake County Parks crew, where we visit sites that Emily and the crew are working on, helping them set priorities for future work, evaluate work that's already been completed, kind of brainstorm of new approaches that we need to take if something's not working so well. And that process has been really positive. The crew gets a lot out of it. We get a lot out of it from seeing the sites and being able to talk to Emily closely. So just a really quick snapshot of the three sites that we managed last year. Nothing really major to report at the Highland Heron Rookery. The footprint of the retreatment in kind of greenish blue looks pretty similar to what we've done in previous years, although we did add on a new chunk here on the southeast corner in red here, handling some Phragmites, which surely so close to the wetland there would have recolonize that area.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the heads up on that. And the Grand Street wetland, pretty similar footprint that we had, but we now have a lot more access to the NIPSCO rights of way. Harry at the Wetlands Initiative has been working really closely with Steve Barker to hammer out an access agreement for all of the partners to access these areas when we need to. So that's really positive. And at MLK South, had a similar footprint, also including that NIPSCO right-of-way and the northern portion of the site. And then these portions kind of in the middle part of the site were new treatment zones because, as I mentioned, the water levels have been fluctuating a lot. The last couple of years have been very dry at MLK South. And so when you get dry conditions in an otherwise standing water wetland, those are great conditions for Phragmites to get a foothold in. And so we are dealing with some of that in some of those areas, but overall the work has looked pretty similar to past years. At Marshalltown Marsh and Hatcher Park, we are nearing the end of our 60% engineering and design process with the Coastal States Organization and ECT, who is our engineering firm. We've had a lot of great meetings and feedback where they've been able to incorporate some of our desires into the plan and are helping us understand where some limitations might be down the road as we consider the possibility of remeandering part of the Little Calumet River. On the heels of the grant that we received from NOAA to do community engagement and outreach, we've hired a consultant who is working with all the Little Cal partners in addition to some community groups that we've subcontracted on this. We're hoping once we get that 60% engineering and design, we're going to work with this consultant to set up a series of events across Gary to get residents' feedback on the initial design, what they like about the design, what they don't like about the design, because we have to remember Marshalltown Marsh is connected to the 20-acre Hatcher Park, City of Gary Park. And at that property, we do have some opportunity to do some exciting things like create, more traditional park space that connects to Marshalltown Marsh, which has a distinctly more natural wilderness feel to it. believe it or not. And this picture on the right kind of shows some of the beautiful woodland scenes at Marshalltown Marsh. It's actually been a pretty positive surprise to see what that looks like in the spring and summer. Last year, we did a lot of plug planting, native plug plantings in these wetlands that we've been spraying out the Phragmites. We're helping supplement the plant community and trying to gain a foothold so that Phragmites won't move back in. This spring, we're hoping to plant about 6,000 plugs. Harry's organized some great events at Grant Street with NiSource volunteers. And you can see they came out last year in 2023 to help us do some plug planting. At MLK South, we'll be doing some plug planting with IUN and Purdue's Honors College. And at Highland Heron Rookery, we're also organizing another planting event. NIPSCO, we just had a meeting with NIPSCO today. It sounds like they've got some extra funds where they'll be able to give us money for additional plugs and seeds to help supplement the work that we're already doing. In addition to the 6,000 plugs that volunteers will plant, a little over 5,000 will be planted by contractors in areas that are relatively difficult to access that we wouldn't want to unleash volunteers on. And in the fall, we're also planning some events and we'll be spreading some seed at some of these sites for the first time, which you don't want to introduce seed until you've got a good handle on the invasive. So that's a good benchmark for where we are in the process. And to date, we've planted 53 native plug species. Almost all of them wouldn't have been at those sites before. As I alluded to before, we finally have gotten the water control structures installed. And again, I'll keep shouting out Harry because he was the one who weathered the storm with all the permitting and all of the back and forth. That was a good education for all of us, I think, in what it takes to really pull some of this off. But I won't spend too much time on this because I know we've presented on this in the past, but we're not, in addition to being able to control the water levels, we really think we're going to be able to have new tools in our toolbox to combat Phragmites and other invasive species by being able to strategically lower and raise the water levels when we need to. And here's a view of those structures in construction at Highland Heron Rookery and MLK South. And here they are in the fall, right after construction completion. So they're working right now. We've had some of the boards in letting water pool on site. So we're happy about the results so far and really excited to start incorporating water level management into our work. And again, just pointing out that this work that we're doing along the West Branch, the work that is being planned at Hatch Park in Marshalltown is receiving more and more media coverage these days, which is something we're really excited about. That's it for my slides. I'm going to turn it over to Craig Zanstra just for a couple slides and an update on the Lake County Parks crew. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, Craig Zanstra, Superintendent, Planning and Resource Division, Lake County Parks. Yeah, we're looking forward to the next 2 years. We're going to have a change, though, the next 2 years for our crew leadership. Emily Glover will still be the crew leader for us. However, Nature Conservancy will be employing Emily for the next 2 years. The reason for that is since she's a contract employee with Lake County Parks, we can't give her health insurance and some of the benefits that other park employees enjoy. So Nature Conservancy is able to do that. They've been an integral part of our partnership since its inception. And so they've agreed to take her on for the next 2 years. Lake County Parks will, however, still employ Judah Lewis, who is a very good park tech for us and helping the crew out. And then we're also going to be looking to add to the crew 2 more full-time crew positions. With the new grant, we're hoping to pay additional. We're going to bump them up to $18 an hour. And that's helpful because we have another crew in the Grand Calumet River with another partnership with TNC and DNR. And those folks make about $17 an hour. And so being able to keep the rate per hour at a certain level is good because, as you know, with all kinds of jobs out there, the rate keeps going up. And to be able to compete with other jobs out there, we need to pay them to keep them. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're looking forward to making that crew a little bigger, and they'll be able to tackle more projects and to continue the maintenance needed on what was just presented. Also, we're going to continue to look at the sites that we mentioned, all that Daniel mentioned. We're doing a lot of work at Hatcher Park, Marshalltown Marsh, MLK South and North, the Grant Street wetlands. Lake Etta, we do work there as well, and then also at the Highland Heron Rookery. They'll continue to do work in the water control structures and do what we can to keep them open and maintained and also, you know, adjust the water levels as needed with, assistance from the other partners. We will continue to utilize other full-time members of our Lake County Parks Planning and Natural Resource Division. We've got 4 full-time, park technician, well, actually, ecologists that work for our department. They do really good work. They've all got great experience, and so those 4 full-time positions are there for Emily at all times. If there's certain projects we need to work on or certain projects that they need additional help with, our crew's always willing to help them out. Also, I know the Nature Conservancy has some full-time employees as well that chip in for certain projects and certain days where they're working on certain sites. So we're able to mobilize additional crew members, which is very helpful, and it's helped us get a lot of work done. Long range, we still want to look at additional projects in the next couple of years. Big for us would still be trying to connect Lake Etta and Three Rivers County Park with the Little Calumet River Trail System. You know, currently ends at MLK Drive, and you know, I know there's a way we can get that over MLK and then through Marshalltown Marsh and then underneath the Borman Expressway and get that into Three Rivers County Park. If we're able to do that, then you know we've got
Would be
a whole
rock
other avenue.
stars.
What?
Would be rock stars.
Well, yeah, and then you can connect into the Lake Station Trail system and then continue east into Porter County. So it will be one
Or west to the state line.
that as well, yes. And so it all connects and then that would connect to the other trail systems in the county as well. So, and as we know, people love their trails and the more opportunities we give them, the better. And then Lake Etta will continue to be our home base for our crew. It's working out well. We're gonna go ahead and get a new storage container for them delivered to Lake Etta. We've got more equipment and with a larger crew, we need more space there. So that storage container will help us store the additional materials we need, equipment, and then also when needed, keep our truck inside the storage container at night. So there's no chance of any vandalism going on. And then, you know, with that, we'll continue to work with our partners and with the commission, and we appreciate everything that's been done in the last 2 grant cycles. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. I'm Paul Botts with Wetlands Initiative, and they have invited me to come up here and kind of put the I don't know, the topper on all this, and I'm gonna hope this button works. All right. So hopefully, you might remember having seen this slide before. You saw this slide the last time we did an update. And this was, as you see, grants applied for in 2023 and 24 for this project. And I'm going to show you what the results were and tell you a couple more things about how this project is gaining profile and attracting some really interesting and important attention from groups whose interest we're really applauding. So here, let's see what happened with all these grants. Now look at that one. Oh, look at that one. Look at, by the way, don't overlook the match. Those match figures are match not from this commission. Those are matched from partners and other funders, just to be clear. Oh yeah, we did pretty well there. And of course, that's the Development Commission there. And then NIPSCO, look at that. So now we have a total here of $1.4 million just since last summer that has been awarded and with match from various partners for this work. You've already heard some of what this money is going to go for. It's already going for as we stand here. Of course, the field work you heard about, but also the next stop. So you're talking about we're getting close to 60% design and engineering at one big spot. One of these grants is going to take us to some design and engineering that obviously you all are going to be looking at and providing feedback on at the even larger Chase Street complex, which is what's shown on the slide there. And the community engagement work, the work with Hatcher Park is parts of a couple of these grants. It's all very exciting. I want to tell you a little story. So last October, in the course of the grant review process for these funders, we had out at the West Branch, I want to say Chase Street, if memory serves, but one of the major parts of this project, we were there for one of these, I believe it was the $399,000 one in the middle. So we have the entire grant committee. This is very unusual. It's a thing called the Chi-Cal Rivers Fund. And they've made a grant previously for this work. They helped start this work. And we actually raised the amount up. And we asked for 2 years. And they brought the entire grant committee. It's a public-private fund. So it is a bunch of private foundations, such as the Donnelly Foundation, I believe the Joyce Foundation, Crown Family Philanthropies, a couple others. Also, the ArcelorMittal was a major, did contribute. I'm not sure their status now, but they're one of the funders. And then matched by some public dollars. And then there's a public-private entity called NIFWIF, National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, that administers this stuff. And I know, Derek, you're very familiar with this process and this kind of grant. So they had the entire committee out there representing all those funders and the NIFWIF staffer, and they were incredibly impressed. And the NIFWIF staffer then stood and addressed the whole group and said that this is the most impressive and productive conservation collaborative that NIFWIF is dealing with in the entire Great Lakes region. And
Can you say that again, please?
she said, this is the NIFWIF staffer, she said that this is the most impressive and productive conservation collaborative that their organization is dealing with in the entire Great Lakes region. And they have a number of them. They have lots of these funds that they manage. So obviously we're thrilled by that. And we were more thrilled when they got back to us a month later and said, you got the grant. So I think I'm supposed to just leave this on the board. Daniel's going to tell me if I'm supposed to advance it, but I don't think I am. So here's the other thing I want to tell you guys. This is the closer. So this thing is attracting attention. You've seen the media attention. I know you've seen that as it's come, and might be some more of that coming in Chicago. I'm working on some of that personally, actually. We have a couple of things coming up this year where large groups of people in our field are going to come see this. So one of them, and they're both of them are conferences where the conference part is happening on the campus of Purdue University Northwest in the southern part of Hammond, and a nice campus, very good meeting facility. First of those about a month from now, a month and change, and it's an international organization called the Society for Ecological Restoration. And the Great Lakes Midwest chapter of that organization, so 12 to 14 states, it's having their annual meeting here at Pacific University Northwest. There's a staff member of the Wetlands Initiative who is involved in the planning of that. All of our organizations are members of this. SCR is, is a lot of public agencies are members of it. A lot of all the big organizations like Nature Conservancy, Audubon are all members. A lot of universities that do research in this field are all members, and a lot of smaller groups like the Wetlands Initiative. And they're coming here, they're having their annual meeting there, and they're going on a field trip. I think it's going to be a couple hundred people at the meeting. I expect dozens of them to come out, and they all want to see it. And we're going to do a little bit of tour, and hopefully we don't get rained on. We're going to show them what can be done and what is being done. And then, now, you may be familiar, you may have heard the term, there's a thing called Chicago Wilderness. It's now officially the Chicago Wilderness Alliance, and it is regional. It is Northeastern Illinois, Northwestern Indiana, a piece of Southwestern Michigan, a piece of Southeastern Wisconsin. It's existed for a couple of decades now. It is the collaborative in our field, our profession in that region. It's one of the best known such collaboratives actually in the world. And Chicago Wilderness Alliance is, again, public agencies, private entities, lots of consulting firms belong to it now. Groups like Cardno and D3 are all members of it, et cetera, et cetera. That alliance, every 18 to 24 months, has its big meeting, which is called, they call the Congress, the Chicago Wilderness Congress. And up till now, 25 years of those congresses, it's never been held anywhere but downtown Chicago. It's coming to Purdue University Northwest. That's November 15th. It's an all-day thing. It's the first time ever outside of Chicago. It's the first time in Northwest Indiana, and those two facts are related. I and myself and a couple other people on the executive council of that alliance pushed for this for a year. We're very pleased. And it's going to be 600 to 900 people are going to come to that meeting, and there's going to be field trips the day before. And I happen to know a guy, okay, it's me, who's on the field trip planning committee. So I'm promising you that they're going to be coming to see the West Branch. In fact, they already know about it. We're excited. And this is going to be people from, as far away as Racine, Wisconsin, McHenry County, Illinois, as well as obviously people from here and from Chicago. So this is going to be a big deal. And related to that, some of you may know Victoria Wittig, who is the coordinator of a public-private partnership here in Northwest Indiana. And Victoria has got herself elected as the vice chair of the Chicago Wilderness Alliance, and she is the first person from Northwest Indiana ever to be elected a officer of that alliance. And I'm here to tell you all that this project, this isn't the only exciting project in Northwest Indiana or the Calumet region, by no means. But this is in some ways the biggest, the most impressive, and the most exciting. And we're not the only ones who feel that way. We got all these people telling us that. So I want to leave you with that. And we are now, if there's time, Mr. Chairman, I believe we are happy to answer questions about any of this.
Sure. Thank you very much for the presentation. That was very informative. Any questions for these gentlemen?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Suarez was presenting. Can you go back to the first slide? I want to know what the first slide's data consisted of, where you had the graph at the beginning,
Oh, the very first. Okay, yeah.
all the way to the.
This one, right?
Yeah.
So what this is describing is the average on the y-axis. That's the average Calumet Marchford occupancy. So that is a figure of 0.3. Basically, you could think of it as like a percentage chance that particular of our 11 species will be present nesting at one of our sites. So you can kind of see like that in 2017, that was about 30%. So 30% chance likelihood that the species that we're monitoring are going to breed there. And that is informed by the actual counting of birds that we're doing. When we go out, we go out 3 times between May 1st and June 15th, once every 2 weeks at the crack of dawn, and we play back the calls of the 11 species and wait for them to respond. If we hear them, then we write back how many did we get. But we know in that time, there's also a lot that is not being counted as well in that kind of in-between time. So this figure kind of gives you an estimate for how much you should expect in a given year that these birds will be found at the site. There's a little bit of, it's not like an exact number per se. We're working to get more specific on how we're doing this monitoring. So we know 3 times over the course of 6 weeks, you're probably going to miss a lot. So we started doing a pilot where we're installing what we call autonomous recording units. They're basically just recorders that sit out in the wetland during the period of monitoring, and it's constantly listening. And it uses artificial intelligence to basically spit out for you, like, these are the species that are being recorded. With all artificial intelligence right now, we're kind of calibrating how accurate that really is. But soon we're going to have a much better picture. We're also starting to experiment with eDNA, so collecting water samples at some of these sites and being able to isolate DNA fragments from some of these species, especially some of the rarer ones, which are very hard to detect. So this number will be hopefully refined and supplemented to give you an even better, more exact idea as to how many of these birds are being found across the entire stretch of the river.
So in 2020, so if I interpret the data correct, so because the R squared is what's throwing me off because it's so low. And so I thought maybe it was.
Yeah, and you'll have to apologize because I deliver the message of the scientists, but the numbers themselves are something I'm not involved with. So this, I can't get that much more specific with you, unfortunately.
Okay, and because I thought the following slide after this one was perhaps where this data, where the slope or the previous slide came from, but that's not the case.
Right, this is just 2023 monitoring figures, but I'd be happy to connect you with our.
Yeah, I would like to really know more about the previous slide
Yeah.
and the compilation of those numbers.
Yeah.
And maybe even if they ran the y-intercept through 0 instead of having an 8.549, and what that number in R squared would actually be, I'd be kind of interested in
Hey,
that.
Professor.
Because I'm not really sure what the information is trying to convey.
Sure. I will follow up with you on that.
All right.
Can I ask a question about, the Phragmites, its operation that we're doing? Specifically the rookery area, and are we 90% removed, 95% removed?
In
Do you
it,
see it coming back?
yeah,
I mean, how's that all work?
If we go back to that slide that shows the new area as well. And then how many years have we been doing those particular sites? I mean, have we been doing that for the full 7 years now?
no, on the ground management started in 2020 and 2021, so we're 3 to 4 years in the process. Anyone that is doing this work will tell you, and I know we've probably told you too, it's a multi-year process. So in a given year, you know, when we're working with contractors, certain contractors will give you a guarantee on removal of particular species. So with Phragmites, some contractors will say, we guarantee we'll get rid of 95% of it in a given year. Even if they get 100%, they have to remember it's not just what's growing above ground, but it's underground, those buried roots, even a tiny fragment can regrow into a new plant. So we're dealing with kind of Phragmites, seeds and roots that have been building up in the soil for decades and decades, and it's going to take a little bit of time for that to express itself. That's why we're really excited about these water control structures, because as we're anticipating, like in the previous years when we had really low water levels, if we know that there are drought conditions coming, we can close those water control structures up, keep the sites wet so that Phragmites doesn't try to find a way back in. And then similarly too, if we can keep those structures closed for, you know, an extended period, we can go in there and Phragmites that's growing above the water line. We can actually, there's new technology that's coming out where we can actually go and there's like underwater mowers that we can mow underwater, and that effectively, you don't have to herbicide that Phragmites. That's just the water's kind of just drowning it out, so to speak. So we're just adding that tool to our toolkit. So we're gonna have to see how that goes, but definitely, Harry, the next time we come, we can show you kind of the outline of those polygons treatment year by year. And you can see that over time, those polygons are shrinking in size. Not totally gone yet, but it's trending in the right direction.
I mean, it sure looks like, I don't see a lot of it out there anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, before it was just overgrown and overgrown.
Yeah, and it's something that we're gonna have to be vigilant on in perpetuity, because all it takes is a bird with a bit of the root fragment stuck in its talons to drop it over a site, and there it goes again.
Well, that's right, Daniel, but also don't overlook, you know, we saw the references to the planting of the wetlands plugs, the native plants. They have to fight through the decades of accumulation and density below ground and so forth. You fight through that, you're beating it back, you gain the control to flood it when you need to, burn it. We burned it at MLK South, you know. But now you get to the right point, you start putting the wetlands plugs back in, the native plants, give them a shot, get them going. And now you actually finally have competition that helps keep the Phragmites from getting itself reestablished. So that's the other part of the picture. So you get off it, you gradually get yourself off this sort of constant treadmill. It can sometimes feel like, there's no question about it, but it's intensive up front, get it to a certain point of health, get the natives established. You're going to be in a way better spot at all the sites. And the last thing to mention, again, it was in the slide presentation, but I got to emphasize the importance of how closely we're now working with NiSource on that right of way. Because you've got to be able to do that. Otherwise, you've just got new vectors. You've got new places for.
Same with NDOT.
Same with NDOT. Yeah,
So-
right. All that stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. And I have a question while you have this slide up. It says marshes being evaluated. So where the Highland Rookery is, everything west of there. So specifically at Kennedy Avenue, let's put a marketing hat on. That's where the Convention and Visitor Authority are. That's where people come and congregate. There's a lot of density right there. It's also a Phragmite farm. So Mr. Repay, I'm sure, has communicated to all individuals having to do with this particular collaborative how important it is to start moving west. You don't even have a picture of everything going to the state line. That's where all the people live. I appreciate what we're doing as far as the wildlife and working in these open areas. But as you get to Kennedy Avenue and move to the west, that is where the density, that's where all the bike riders are. That's where the walkers are. That's where the people come and spend their money. So it would be nice if we could somehow elevate that as a part of our project to be able to incorporate that as a part of this initiative.
That's very well taken. And I will say it from our point of view, from the very first meetings, of our organizations and our great friends at Nature Conservancy Indiana, who were kind of our native guides on the ground. We're talking 2016, 2017, when we first met you all. I remember our first rental car ride with Bill driving around and looking at it. What it all looked like hell at that point. But
It was hell.
from the get-go, this picture that you're seeing on this slide right now has always been our aspiration and vision. We're not in the cherry pick business, none of us. We're in the corridor business, so.
And we have a
That's
corridor
exactly-
that goes all the way to the state
I know.
line, that's all I'm saying, Paul. So, we have to have some of that, start to make its way towards where a lot of other monies and a lot of people that are gonna come to all of those conferences that you're mentioning are gonna be spending the night.
That's right.
And they're gonna be looking out the window, guess what they see,
That's right. No, that's what we're right there with you. We would.
right? That's not a very good marketing thing. You got a Phragmites program that's out there and they look out the window and they see Phragmites. I just wanted to put that out.
Not for the Society of Ecological Restoration.
But we've been having that conversation for a while, so, please reassess.
Okay.
Anything else, please, gentlemen?
Just one last thing, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Professor.
I'm just glad to see, in the, Hatcher Park, Martin Luther King area, because I'm like Bill, I want more economic development in across the region, but, I'm partial to area. So hopefully, with the ongoing projects that are there in that particular area, hopefully that's something foreseeable in the future.
So I think we have a meeting coming up and also we had a great with the new mayor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yep, just this past Saturday, we participated in an Earth Day Planet Palooza event with Brown Faces Green Spaces. Really, really great on the ground grassroots organization trying to connect people to nature. And new Mayor Melton was there in attendance, and he went around to all the partners' tables and we gave him a lot of information about Hatcher Park and Marshalltown. And, we talked to him for just a couple minutes, but he wanted us to schedule a meeting with his staff, with him, so that he could learn more about this and figure out ways that he can help drive participation in the surveys, but also hopefully to help think about the funding piece of this, the implementation piece, which is coming down the pipeline. Once we complete engineering and design, we've gotten funding from the feds, and a lot of the time, the process that they want to see is that they're giving you the money for the engineering and design. They want to see the process through implementation as well. So while we don't have any guarantees on accessing those funds, that's certainly a good indication from the feds, and to have Mayor Melton supportive of the projects would definitely be helpful as well.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I guess it's back to me. Moving right along, gentlemen.
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to act on resolution 2024-06 and an interlocal agreement with the Lake County Drainage Board for the Turkey Creek Ditch Lateral 1 Drainage Study Watershed Project in an amount not to exceed $131,280, subject to final draft and approval by attorney, executive director, and chairman.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Repay.
This will ultimately link into our other watershed study that we're doing with Turkey Creek. And so this will just be one of the laterals, of course, as it says. And then this is an area where it's historically been wet on both sides of the road. And hopefully we can find a resolution of that, not only to give some of the residents some relief, but also a safer passage as you drive those roads.
And this all ties into the one that we're currently doing or updated as far as the.
This is separate, but once this is complete, we'll be able to link it with the one that we are slowly completing. We're not slowly completing, we are completing in May.
Okay.
I don't want to make sure it's on time.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There none. Mrs. Lambert.
Yes.
Yes.
Derek Nivens,
Yes.
David Foxcott,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Bill Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. Moving right along.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to table items 9A, I'm sorry, 9B and 9C on this evening's agenda.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
We just have to fix some of the paperwork and make it a little bit more clear, and we've already expressed that to the applicant. So for the next meeting, we'll have a much cleaner looking application.
The papers have to be in order. Okay. There's a motion and a second. Mrs. Lambert.
Yeah. Yes.
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 Dave Castellano,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. Moving right along.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to act on the 8th addendum to the employment agreements of the executive director and office manager pending legal review.
There's a motion and a second.
Second.
And the discussion, I'll take repays on this one from the standpoint, this is having to do with comp for both the executive director and the office manager, these two fine individuals right here who do an outstanding job. So we're gonna move that along and hope they can stick around for a while to at least watch the Phragmites get killed over by Kennedy Avenue. There's a motion and a second, Mrs. Lambert.
Yes.
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 Dave Castellano,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes, moving right along, my favorite point is the statements to the board from the floor. If you'd like to help us, please come up to the microphone, state your name. If you're online, you have to do the online thing. And let's do this. Once. Or twice. All right. Next meeting is going to be the third Wednesday. Check the website. If you haven't signed up for that, please get that. We'll get those out to you as far as updates. It's for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. We'll go down the line. Mr. Ware,
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Whitaker,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great presentation again from the Mr. Suarez and his team, and the other gentlemen. Great presentation. I like the fact that people use, different types of data, and in particular, that type of data that's actually presented the case. And I would like to see more communities and more presentations. Try to convey the information that way because it really does sort of forecast the date, events, the date, and what to kind of expect in the future for this that you're kind of studying. Other than that, I think that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Wishlinski.
I just want to thank our collaborative partners for a great presentation and look forward to more positive info. Thank you.
Mr. Gazdecki.
Thank everyone for coming, echoing all the commissioners' comments so far. Excellent presentations. Also, just want to remind everybody about our website. It's got some really informative information, and if you like watching the gauges, there's plenty of gauges to watch. You may as well enjoy them because it's costing the commission and our taxpayers about 120 grand for that information a year. And but it may as well get some use out of it, and it's really informative.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Mr. Nimitz.
I have nothing to add.
Mr. Castellanos.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to first of all compliment the individuals for excellent presentation, Out of Bounds Society. But a couple of questions I wanted to ask you about how unique our area is, and really appreciate that. But also like to extend appreciation for Commissioner Wishlinski, who appeared on WLTH radio program last Monday, did a great job, a lot of great compliments. We had an individual from the Professional Trades International Union happening in Northwest Indiana. It was very good. And then second, I'm also asking for volunteers for this Saturday coming up. I'm working with Mayor Eddie Milton on doing the cleanup of Broadway. We are looking for individuals who want to come out and bring some paintbrushes or paint rollers, work with individuals. We're trying to paint up all the graffiti that's all up and down Broadway. It's going to be at from 9 o'clock to 12:30. If anybody wants to come on out, you're more than welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Wickland.
Nothing that.
Mrs. Lambert.
Nothing to add.
All right. Like I mentioned, the next meeting is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Check the website as far as locations. Entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You fell against the man. Thank you for coming, everybody.